Professor Olatunji Akinade, immediate past national president, Nigerian Mining and Geosciences Society, is also a professor of applied and environmental geochemistry at the University of Ibadan. It's a pleasure to have you in, Prof.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, yes. All right, so what stands out in this partnership for you between Nigeria and South Africa to boost the mining sector?
Like you just mentioned, South Africa is a known mining destination globally. And in Africa, South Africa seems to be the leading mining nation who know how to do mining using the best of technology and running the right legal framework for their operation. So signing an MOU with South Africa is a very good step in the right direction to reposition the Nigerian mining sector, because we can only benefit immensely from such a MOU.
All right, so we're learning from the best pretty much. And we know that Nigeria boasts of 23 mineral deposits. So what is the potential in this partnership to reduce Nigeria's economic dependence on oil? For a long time we've been dependent on oil. So how does this stand to reduce that dependency?
Okay, one of the thing that is needed to grow the mining sector is the provision of geodata, geological data. And if you see the MOU talk about cooperation in geological mapping using technology. Nigeria is a very vast country which has not been properly mapped to the right scale. And when you don't have this geological data, you cannot confidently beat your chest and say this is what you have. So by engaging with South Africa to assist with geological mapping of the country, that alone is going to open up the sector and make those resources which we are not even aware of the quantum we have to be known. And when you have accurate geological data, you are now able to attract private sector finance into that sector, because the fund will always go to where the data is available. And the data, if the data is not available, the credible geological data is not available, the private sector fund, which needs to now continue the exploration work to level of exploitation, will not come in. So, as I said, it's a fantastic idea to get this geological map produced, geological data generated by the Geological Survey and the South Africans. When this is done, I'm telling you, I can assure you that it's going to unleash the right funding that is needed in the sector. If you don't fund the sector, you cannot benefit from the sector. We talk about the oil sector now as the sector that gives us all the resources. It's because we continue to fund it appropriately. That is why we are able to reap from the investment made over the years. So it's a right step in the right direction. The right investment will come in when this geodata are available. And then, of course, we can now begin to see the immediate impact on the economic indices.
So it's the data, investments, and then the expansion. But we also know that illegal mining operations have undermined for the longest time efforts to scale up production. 80% of mining in northern Nigeria is legal. So in terms of regulatory framework and adequate enforcement of mining laws, needed to develop this industry, would you say Nigeria is ripe? What does this shift, we're proposing also look like?
See, when you talk, you saw me smile when you're talking about illegal mining. Illegal mining is not about the scale. It's illegal mining is about mining without due permit from the regulatory bodies charged with such a responsibility. So you can have a large-scale person also mining illegally, and there are quite a number of them in the country. So, but you see, there is this talk about always insisting that the small-scale miners are the ones that are doing illegal mining. No, that's not true. So illegal mining in the strict sense is people mining without the appropriate licenses from the appropriate authority. Now, be that as it may, in terms of regulation, the government has done something very, very unique recently. And what did they do? The government introduced some reform in terms of rates for permit and licenses to come into the sector. And if you look at the report given recently, I think the minister was even mentioning the increment that they received in terms of revenue from all these licenses. The sector needs serious-minded investors. The sector needs people who knows that mining is a serious business, not just scavenging. And it requires resources. And of course, by the new reform brought in by the ministry and the mining cadastre in the licensing regime, a lot of people who have no business in the sector will be weeded out. A lot of people who do not have the financial capacity to invest in the mining sector will be weeded out. Those who are interested, there will be a lot of talking to one another, maybe margin of operation and interfacing to ensure that they continue to be in business. So I believe that we are ripe for implementing the law. And if the law is implemented to the letter, as we have always said, all these issue of illegal mining and whatever, we believe that the board. That's about number two. As I also mentioned earlier, government must put in the resources. Nigeria is a vast land. We have a federal mines officer all over the 36 states of the federation, including Abuja. The work of this federal mines officer is to go around each of the states and see what is going on under their jurisdiction. They need vehicle, they need personnel, they need technology to be able to do their job. Some people may be in the jungle somewhere doing what, and the mines officer who is based in the capital has no access to even going to see what they are doing. It's what they report to him that it takes, and that is where we have issues. So we need to also unlock the right investment in the sector. Government must do more commit resources into that aspect of inspector, into the bank inspectorate and oversight to be able to catch those who are doing what they are not supposed to do at the point where they are doing it, rather than we continue to bemoan these activities of the so-called illegal miners.
So the regulation, from what you're saying, the regulation is on ground. We just need the enforcement, the implementation to be done.
Absolutely.
And you've highlighted the need for serious-minded private investors. You've also mentioned, data that will attract them. But what else do we need to do to attract those serious-minded private investors, aside from having the data on ground?
Okay. Now, we've talked about data, we've talked about investment from government, we've talked about monitoring. We also need to begin to promote our local champions. One of the things I mentioned when I was president was that, look, success is attractive. When we promote those local champions who are currently running their operation in Nigeria successfully, when we promote them, when we go for road shows, when we go for trade exhibition, when we put these guys together under the Nigeria canopy or pavilion to let them talk to others about the success story of what they have in Nigeria running, you'll see that many more operators will want to come in, because these guys will be speaking to businessmen like them, not government officials. Government officials will not tell you there are difficulties in the system. But if a businessman is telling you, yes, there are challenges, but we are operating in Nigeria and this is what we are doing successfully, that will begin to attract other people to say, okay, if these guys can succeed in that country, definitely there is hope for us to succeed. And that's one of the things that we have also mentioned as the society, that government should begin to promote these local champions. Everywhere we go, let them be with us. When we are talking to potential investors, let these guys be at the table. Let people know that we are not just an area that have not been tested. There are individuals who are running successful mining operations currently in the country, and some people should be promoted and made to be like ambassadors of the sectors, to promote the sector heavily. And of course, as I said, the issue of funding can not be overemphasized. Thank God the National Assembly did a lot of provision of funding for this year's budget. We believe that it should not be just writing the provision, it should be about to release. We all know that you can have a budgetary provision and yet not cash back. Right. So we want the National Assembly to go the extra long and ensure that all the resources that have been budgeted for are released by the Ministry of Finance to the Ministry of Solid Mineral Development to be able to do all the work that if all these things are done, it's something that we're going to see immediate impact, not something for the future, immediate impact.
All right, hopefully we do see all these things being done, and the sector starts to contribute more than 1% to GDP. We do appreciate you joining us for this conversation, Professor Olatunji Akinade, immediate past National President, Nigerian Mining and Geosciences Society. He's also a Professor of Applied and Environmental Geochemistry at the University of Ibadan. Thank you again, Prof.
Thank you very much for having me.